Being your creative self is loving who you are, expressing who you are, and being who you are, no matter what that looks like, no matter who has a problem with it. Continue to shine and be who you are meant to be. Modernly Ethnic is a place where we create a space for creative people to show their stuff, to express themselves, and to encourage the rest of the world to be their creative selves. Being your creative self is very hard today. And it takes courage for someone to step out of the box, to step outside of their comfort zone, and to show who they are on the inside. Being a creative is a very sensitive process, and we truly value our mental health. Sometimes we are blocked from our creative sides due to our pain, our trauma, our mental stresses, everyday life. But a disconnection from your creative self is a disconnection from your soul. Your soul represents who you are on the inside. So join us along this journey of reactivating our creativity and highlighting the people that have already done so and are still connected to their creativity. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the next Be Your Creative Self interview on Modernly Ethnic. I am here with comic book artist Leroy, aka Lion Child, and he's going to talk about how he stays connected to his creativity and a little bit about his comics, which are called Afro Earth. Interesting, right? Yes. So to be your creative self is to be living in your purpose. So we just, want to give you guys some hope to live in your purpose, to be your creative. Thanks for coming and being willing.
Thank you, of course.
That's good. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm actually very excited because, this is the first time first time being interviewed that it's not an interview for a job. So.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So we're definitely going to talk about, how you balance between working a 9-to-5 and still remaining your creative self.
Definitely.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and some of your work that you do.
Okay. Leroy Davis. So 9-to-5 wise, I work at the bank, and that's something that I do to pay the bills. And it is something that I enjoy because I feel like you can't exceed at any type of career if it's not something that you enjoy. Like if it's something that you can't, go to every day, and, But,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, the thing for my soul, I would say, for my heart, that I love to do, I love to write, and so I love to tell stories. Since I was a kid, I loved comics, cartoons, and I'll probably be a kid for life. Never grew out of it. Still love me some comics and cartoons, but as I became an adult, I decided I wanted to make comics and cartoons.
Nice.
So I started to make stories, and growing up, it's a lot better than it was when I was coming up. But coming up, I definitely did not see a lot of characters that looked like me, unless they were like a sidekick or like a goof character,
right? Or
the big scary black guy.
Right.
And so there was only certain things that we could see.
Stigmas.
Yeah, exactly. So creating characters that looked like me or that would look like the next young black kid, I felt like that was something important, and
exactly.
So it was something that I wanted to do for fun, just because it's something that I love to do and something that I felt like it could really affect somebody coming up the next generation.
Absolutely. That's actually a big thing that we do here, Modernly Ethnic. It is our motto is called love who you are, express who you are, be who you are. And what we do is encourage people to be themselves in today's modern time. So I'm glad that you brought up that, it was different. You said that it was better. So what do you really mean by it being better now than it was for us back then?
Oh, here's a perfect example.
Okay.
So I'm a little older than I look. I'm 33. I know I look like people will only expect I'm like 25 or something. But I'm 33.
We got the good genes.
Yeah,
the millennials have the good genes.
Yeah, you know how it is. Like no crack, so
it does not.
Yeah,
okay.
But so I specifically remember the day Power Rangers came out, like the original Power Rangers, and you know what? That was my show. I mean, any boy my age, I think I was 5 or 6 at the time when it came out. Any boy my age, like that was going to be their show. There's monsters, there's karate, and there's superpowers,
Exactly.
and giant robots. So every boy is gonna love that,
Right.
And you know, we used to, even as kids, we would joke about how it was kind of racist. The only black character was the Black Ranger. Which honestly, if I was a Power Ranger, I would want to be the Black Ranger too. But
Right?
the bad thing about it was, why did the black kid have to be dancing when he fights? Like,
Right.
like there's
Yeah.
always some type of goofy stereotype.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was always something like that. Like, so like the black kid, whenever he fought, he had to dance in between his fight moves. Like, yeah, that was something that was constant in the 90s. It's like, you'll get a black character here and there, but there's going to be something goofy about him. Like,
Right.
there's going to be something stereotypical about him. And I feel like today, I mean, we still have that problem in mainstream, like Hollywood and stuff like that. But there's a lot more like independent artists that are coming out.
Exactly.
So-
Like yourself. And like Afro Earth, which is why I was when you first told me that your comic was called Afro Earth, I'm like, we need something. We need black comics, and we need to help other people to know that it's okay if you like comics. It's okay if, you know. So that's the reason why I love Afro Earth, because it appeals to the black community.
I
So,
appreciate that. Yeah.
tell us a little bit about Afro Earth.
Okay, yeah, so Afro Earth, I guess the first thing would be the name, and because the name came out of the concept. So Afro Earth was born out of me not seeing Afro characters. So,
Of course.
like, a lot of, like, I'm a nerd. I love me
Black
some.
nerds unite.
Yes, blurred too. Blurred too.
Oh, that's what it's called. Okay.
Yeah,
I love
black
that.
nerds,
Blurred.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just another word. But yeah, I was about to say but yeah, I was always like slightly into stuff like, let's say, like Dungeons and Dragons, like Harry Potter, Game of Thrones. What's another one like that? Lord of the Rings. Like all of those like Dungeons and Dragons type stories where there's magic and dragons, because I like superpowers, I like monsters and stuff like that. But like whenever I would watch something like that, I could only watch it for a little bit. Like Game of Thrones, as great of a show as it is, I'd probably watch the first season and I just lost interest.
Okay.
Harry Potter, as much as I read as a kid, as much as I love film and stuff like that, the only one that I fully watched, it was because they turned it on when I was in like 7th grade, like in class. And like those stories, like I like the concepts, but they don't hold me.
Okay.
And I started to realize, I think it's because I just can't connect with them. Like all of that, those are like European type monsters, type magic, type all of that. And they call all that world where those stories take place in Middle Earth. Like this is a Middle Earth story.
Oh,
Middle
okay.
Earth, yeah.
All right. So Afro Earth.
Yes. So,
instead of Middle Earth.
yeah,
Got
so
it.
that was kind of like the concept out of there. I
Okay.
want to make something instead of Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe it'll be some, let's see, what's an African monster? Like an Egwegu and pyramids.
Okay.
Like, yeah, but I'm going to do something that's more African based.
Exactly.
And more, like have some more African American taste to it.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so I'm creating a world for us. This is Africa.
So I know that you're coming out with a comic book, but where can we read your comics now?
Right now, I'm on Tumblr.
So your Instagram is
Yeah, it's called Lion Child Comics.
With an
X.
X.
Yeah. I've definitely had a couple people say they have trouble finding it. So
Right.
Lion Comics is with an
Lion
X.
Child Comics
Lion
with an
Child
X.
Comics.
So in your bio is how you access your comics, which I already know how to get. I just want you guys to know. But look, I'm taking over the interview.
No, you good.
But what Afro Earth is going to be a three short story comic book, right?
Yes,
so now they're on Tumblr, and I love them. There's one called Umimi Village, excuse me, Raph Linux, he's my favorite, and The Rock, which is a very interesting plot, y'all.
So with the Umimi Village, what that is that was the first short story for the Afro Earth series.
Okay.
So Afro Earth, I wanted to be a comic series, and I have a plan up to probably 6 or 7 issues so far already that I have like the story complete already. Yeah, but the first issue is just it's gonna be compiled of 3 short stories, and I'm gonna put that together for one issue. The first short story, the Umame Village.
So it's Umame, not how I said it the first time.
Yeah.
You mean me. It's Umame, y'all. It's Umame. Okay.
See, that's fine. Hopefully I didn't destroy it myself, you know.
Right.
Umeme.
It's based off of, I believe that's Swahili.
Swahili?
Yeah, that was going to
Nice.
be based off of Swahili.
Okay.
A lot of the like villages and names that I use are going to be based off of different African languages. I try to switch it up, based off of like where I am at a certain point in the story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the first short story takes place in a village, and so Jabari, he's our main character.
Okay.
And he's when the story begins, he's just roaming, and he runs into a village that's abandoned. He doesn't know why. He sees little hints here and there telling him, that something weird happened, and he ends up seeing a giant bird come his way that he knows from legend, and this bird is called an impindulu, which is real African legend about an electrical bird. So I thought that would be a cool, first fun little short story, not trying to get too deep or anything like that.
Right, because we definitely want you guys to read it and experience it, because I definitely experienced it, and I really liked that one. I liked how he kind of saved, I won't tell you guys the story, but it's really good. But my favorite is Raph Linux. He's a black superhero, y'all, and he's so cool. Like, he's awesome.
So yeah, Raph Linux is a little different than Afro Earth. Raph Linux is based off more of an American style comic as compared to Afro Earth, which is based off more of a Japanese style comic. And you can tell the difference as in so Raph Linux is in color. It's more so aimed at adults than Afro Earth is. Afro Earth is more so aimed at teenagers, kids. But Raph Linux is aimed at I'd say 21 and up type age group, and that's how it is more so with American comics. And the reason I went that route is because Raph Linux, he's actually not even a superhero; he's an assassin. So yeah, so he works for the government to specifically take out threats that can eventually hurt the human race, or that are going to be a threat to the human race.
And you guys will love this story, and I'm so ready for the sequel. But I really want to get into the concept of the rot, because it's like not comic bookish, y'all. It's like it's so deep, and it's like it will make you think about things, right? So tell us a little bit about why you chose to write the rot.
So The Rot is actually my first short story that I had turned into a comic book. So that was, a very exciting time for me. I'd say, and it is a horror story, and I love horror. I've loved horror since I was a little kid. Like I said, I came up in the 90s, so I grew up on slashers, so Scream, Halloween, all of those.
Exactly.
I love it. Yeah. Chucky was my boy. I shouldn't even say he was my boy because he terrified me for like a year.
He terrified my little sister too, and we always scared her with Chucky. When she go on nurse, the girl's gonna be Chucky in that basement. She start crying. I'm sorry.
That's
Sis,
crazy.
I'm sorry. If you're watching this, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Chucky. He was a real one. He was a real one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna say horror was always something that stuck out to me, that like a genre of storytelling that I love, because it's a little deeper. I always feel like good horror is always going to be a little deeper than just slash 'em up. Like good horror is going to make you think of the human condition.
Okay.
It's going to make you think about why I act this way, or why I do this, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So with The Rot, the concept. It's a 3-4 page story.
It's not long.
Yeah, it's about a cursed family that everything they touch, everything they are rots. So the food they touch rots. Their home is rotting. The main character, her mother herself, is rotting.
Yeah.
And so that's something that came out.
It's a twist.
Yeah. I was about to say it's It's a little creepy. It is. One of my biggest inspirations, I would say, is Junji Ito, who is a Japanese comic book writer, and he writes short stories and horror.
Okay.
And like he does a lot of different concepts, not just cutting people up. So this was kind of like a story that I felt was like kind of a homage to his type of stories.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's something completely different, but it's with black characters. Like I wanted to do a black horror story, but something that you haven't seen before.
Okay.
I didn't want just people getting chopped up.
Yeah.
So this came out of like my own fears, like something that we all have to go through someday. We don't like to think about, but like losing a parent or like not being able to feed yourself. Like what's something else in there? There's more.
Definitely, you guys have to read them and experience them. I really love it, and I can't wait for the next sequels of them. When are we expecting something new, or what's next? What's to come?
Let's see here. So with new stuff, I have some concepts for horror stories, but I'm not writing anything anytime soon for horror that I can say. But within the next couple of months, I was about to say, the next chapter of Afro Earth is going to be out, and let me see, this is August, so this is by late September.
Okay.
The last chapter of the book will be finished.
Okay.
And then by late November, we plan to have the book out.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So tell us about your artists, because I know that you don't draw them yourself.
Yes.
So let's give your artists some shout outs.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, appreciate it. And it's a lady, a young lady.
Okay.
Yep, her name is Martina, and she's not even from this country. I was about to say she's from Poland, I believe. She's my main artist that I work with the most. Because as you see, her art is great.
Yeah,
her
very
art,
detailed.
And she is very, very meticulous with her work. She gets back to me, whenever we have something that we need to work on for a page or something like that. Like, she's very professional, and that's like something that I really like, and someone that I had to keep on working with, because I went through multiple artists.
Okay.
I did go through multiple artists. I had somebody that was really good but just too expensive. I had people that you could tell it's like, why are you just go get a day job? Why are you trying to be an artist? Because you're not putting your all into this.
I'm glad that you said that, because when you are an artist, you have to give it your all.
Yeah,
and because and then it's like, don't change who you are just because one person doesn't fit you. And like you said, you have to go through multiple artists to find the one that suited you and the one that you liked.
Right.
So I'm glad that you mentioned the day job, because I want to touch on, how do you stay connected to your creative side, working a 9 to 5? What obstacles do you face, if there are any? Also, share with somebody what advice you would give them to help them be their creative selves in the world today.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a big thing for me would be discipline, because for me, like, I would go to work, and when I get home, I'd be like, oh, I'm too tired. And that's what I would say in my head. Oh, I'm too tired. Even I'm not gonna write today. Even though I say, oh, I love to write.
Right.
But I would just come home and, watch TV or something and chill. Which in the long run only leads to depression. Like, if you're not doing what you love, like, you're not going to be your best at anything. So I feel like if it's something that you really love, you can discipline yourself, to work at it every day.
Like you said, so you mentioned in the beginning of the interview, you mentioned how it's like, that's your soul. That's what makes your soul happy. That's what makes your soul smile. It's your creativity. So it's like you said, and it ultimately does lead to depression when you're not being your true self, when you're not expressing yourself. Love who you are, express who you are, be who you are. It's kind of like, don't try to be anybody else. Like, be yourself in this modern world, even though it's harder and harder for us to be ourselves because of society and modern day slavery, say it like it is. But yeah, it's hard for us. So what advice would you give to someone to remain true to themselves and to be their creative selves in today's world?
To help someone to be true to themselves, really, I shouldn't say like you just have to be you, because I know there can be tough times.
It's obstacles,
they definitely can.
it's trauma, and things that we sometimes can't get past, and it's peer pressure.
Yeah.
You know, trying to fit in when that's never like it's never going to lead to anything.
Yeah.
Trying to fit in with the crowd and to be popular, it's just going to enter the end of who you truly are. You know.
I would say so. I can give my own personal experience that I could help. So for me, it would be like it was depression and anxiety that I dealt with. Like I said, like not doing what I love and stuff like that. And for me, it was, you know, for the anxiety, it was facing my fears. And actually, this is actually a good thing to bring up in the comic books, because there was a period in my life where I had anxiety terribly. And I mean, like,
as I did.
so you know how it can be pretty bad.
It could.
And like there was a point where I was having anxiety attacks, and it was like everything I seen would be red. And like
that was heavy.
And it was like it was affecting my life, affecting my work, to the point where it was like things that I enjoyed, I would be doing them, and I would start having anxiety attacks.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, so it got to a point where one day I was reading a comic and it started happening. Everything goes red. And I was like, no, you're not taking comics from me.
Exactly.
You're
you
not
can have
taking
stuff, but you can't have what makes my soul happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no.
And that day, that was the day where I was like, I'm not taking this anymore. And I was always somebody too that, because I know, and I'm not telling people don't to go against your doctors. I was always somebody, because the doctors tried to give me like Xanax and stuff like that. And for me, I was like, that's what the rappers rap about, like for drugs. So I don't want that. I don't want that in my life. So like, I just wanted to beat it naturally. And like, that was the instant where I was like, no, I gotta take this down. This is something that I have to do. So I sat there and I'm seeing all red, like blood red, but I'm just reading my comic.
Blinking, trying to see.
Like, exactly, like just trying to keep on going.
That's when you told it no. That's when you stood up to.
Yeah, exactly.
Know?
And I kept on reading till like it went from red to pink, and like it was going down. So like it went down, and you know, like that was the moment where I was like, I'll be all right. Like I know I'll be all right. I gotta keep on, like just keep on pushing. Like those little old sayings, they're so real. Like keep on,
like it's so crazy, because I say that the cliche sayings, right? You hear them as a child, and you're like. Yeah. And then you hear it as an adult, you're like, oh, that's cliche. But when you get older, those cliche sayings hit, and you understand them deeper, on deeper level. Like when you're children, of course, people are going to talk to you as if you're 5 years old, because they want to get you to simply understand. But we're too young to really understand. But then when you get older, it's like those cliche sayings really hit. Like, be yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Love yourself. Like, what's another one? What was one that you said? Keep on keeping on. Push through. Right, you know.
And
be
that's
your
what
creative self, be who you are.
Yeah.
But that's what you were saying?
Yeah, I would say, I guess in the short term, I would say push through. Push through. Like when you feel like you can't breathe, that last time when you feel like you're out of breath, keep on running. Keep on pushing.
Yeah.
Like you gotta keep going.
Yeah.
That's because there's times when it's like there's really nothing else I can do. And you feel hopeless. There are times like I felt hopeless, but like
hold on to the hope.
Yeah, exactly. Like don't give up on hope. Yeah. Just keep on, hold on to that little. If it's just a strand of air,
if it's a string, all the way across the room. If you got to crawl, walk.
Just
drag yourself.
Push yourself. Yeah.
Go. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Things do get better.
Absolutely.
Things do get better.
Things do get better.
But you have to work for it. You can't sit around and just hope for it to get better. Like even like we pray and we want God to just fix things, but even the Bible says faith without works is dead. So
faith without works is dead.
You gotta push.
Yeah, and a lack of faith and unbelief is even a sin. So we want to make sure we're not having thought patterns or things that are blocking us from who we truly are, that are blocking us from our true purpose in life. So to be your creative self is to be living in your purpose. So we just, want to give you guys some hope to live in your purpose, to be your creative self. So definitely check out Leroy at Lion Child Comics with an X on Instagram. Stay tuned for his new book called Afro Earth. And read his comics on Tumblr. The link is in his bio on Instagram. And definitely stay tuned for the next Be Your Creative Self interview with your host. My name is Patrice Brown. I'm the founder of Modernly F, where we love who we are, express who we are, and be who we are. Thank y'all for tuning in.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you for coming too.
Of course.
I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you, being real and opening up, and just, it's gonna really help somebody. So I really thank you.
I hope so.
No.